lot of people talking about the possibility, not just of World War III, which is bad enough, but also of nuclear Armageddon. I think this is overheating a situation which is understandable in people's minds because an awful lot's going on, particularly in Russia and Ukraine. The biggest single problem and the biggest contributory factor here is the absurd gap between the election of a new president in the United States of America and the actual inauguration of that person as president. And the gap between the two is an enormous 76 days, during which there's basically a power vacuum. What you've got is a situation in the Ukraine and in Russia where both sides know that President Trump is insisting on a negotiated settlement, an end to the war, which has cost the United States something like 140, 150 billion dollars or pounds, if I think it's converted across, a lot of money by any standards, even for the world's richest nation. And he wants an end to it. He doesn't think, in fact, that America has any role in a European conflict, and that if anything, it should be the European Union that steps up and pays those bills. And in the meantime, you've got Russia trying to make sure that Vladimir Putin is not humiliated by an outcome that he doesn't want or that might make his people angry. And in the Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky is entitled to Western support, but up to a point. I think that both sides know that this is the end game now, and that's why you're seeing so much sort of saber rattling and brinkmanship, and both sides trying to get the best they can, so that when the talks begin, they've got certain territorial areas that they can claim to have an entitlement to. The departing President Joe Biden is setting up traps for his successor. They certainly don't like each other very much. And if he'd really wanted to provide Ukraine with these sort of weapons, he should have done so very much sooner to make sure that they could be used to secure some sort of victory. There is no victory likely now in this war. It's going to be a war without end unless someone acts, and the people who can act are the Americans who pay the bills. So the poor, plucky Ukrainians have been left rather in the lurch. I think that they're going to have to do a deal, which means the surrender of certain territories. And I think that President Putin will also have to do a deal, but I think that he has a much stronger hand. I mean, you cannot dismiss the fact that Russia still has atomic weapons. It still has huge oil resources. It is still a significant power in the world. The great saving factor in this, I think, is its partnership with China. China does not want World War III. It certainly does not want a nuclear conflict. And I doubt whether anyone actually wants nuclear conflict. But these things, as we've learned in the past in two world wars, can happen very suddenly, almost by accident. So nobody's complacent. Certainly I'm not complacent about the position we're in. But I think that we possibly are over-egging the threat to world peace, which is taking place right now on our doorstep in Europe. While China might not want a World War III or a nuclear holocaust, it does want, along with North Korea and Russia, to hobble the United States. China has ambitions of becoming the one global superpower, economically and militarily. And the obstacle to that, of course, is the United States. And they see the great American devil as being the target. So, look, the axis of evil exists, and it's not just those three countries, but also the Middle East, where you have Iran poking its nose in and causing trouble in Israel. I think there again, I think that Trump, if he's going to honor the promises that made him, got him the election victory, I think he's going to bang heads together in Israel along the lines of the Abraham Accords, which, after all, are the legacy of his first presidency, when he got the Saudi Arabians, the Jordanians, and the Emirates to virtually agree to recognize Israel as a sovereign state for the first time. And I was absolutely amazed and startled and disappointed to see that Keir Starmer, himself, of course, a human rights lawyer, has decided that he upholds that verdict. And that were Netanyahu to visit the United Kingdom, he would have to be arrested on the spot. I mean, that's an appalling situation. I mean, to put Hamas leaders in the same context of equivalence with the prime minister of the only democratic state in the Middle East is a preposterous situation. It should not be accepted by anyone in the sensible Western democratic world. I think the ICC is intrinsically anti-Israel, and I think that it's infiltrated by people who are very much pro the Arab world. So I don't think it's an impartial international court. I think it's a cat's paw for those interests which are anti-American.